السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهد الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. وأشهد أن نبينا وحبيبنا محمدا عبد الله ورسوله صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم وصفيه من خلقه وخليله. نشهد بأنه قد بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وجعلها على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. أما بعد، يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه العزيز بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. أما بعد, all praises are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We bear witness and attest that there is no deity or divinity truly worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. And we bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam is truly and indeed the last of messengers and prophets sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to all of mankind with the message of peace and justice and human brotherhood and compassion and tawheed. Indeed, that is the message of Islam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those who accept and embrace that message, live by that message inshallah, teach that message and preach that message, and inshallah only die as followers of that message and part of that ummah of Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Indeed, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon his messenger Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, and upon his family and companions and all the true followers, and may Allah always accept us and guide us to be among those true followers. My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, a belated Eid Mubarak to all of you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, make us among those whose Eid was accepted, whose acts of worship during that holy season, blessed season, inshallah, accepted. And may Allah bring safely all those who have gone to perform Hajj, and may He accept from them and grant those who suffered the incidents and suffered different hardships during that season. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept those who died as martyrs, and those who are wounded and injured, inshallah, grant them shifa, tam, inshallah, full recovery, and accept from all their families their patience. Today, I wanted to cover a topic that actually has always puzzled me personally. You know, we always talk about, alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made dhulm, oppression, injustice, forbidden. We know that, and we as Muslims pride ourselves as being the ummah that stood with the underdog, stood and continues to stand with those who are oppressed. Alhamdulillah, that's, many people think it's different things that appeal people to Islam. Actually, one of the main reasons people were appealed to Islam is that it came and removed these barriers that oppressed people. Political barriers, racist and racial barriers, economic barriers, because the fitrah is there for believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But everybody claims that too. We're not the unique religion when it comes to knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and teaching about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is Islam's emphasis on the fact that to be a true Muslim, you have to be an advocate for justice. A fighter, a striver against injustice is what always appealed nations after nations throughout centuries over time to look and consider Islam. And we don't have to look at a long or far away place. We can look even in our own country. When African Americans were oppressed, denied their basic rights, they looked and they realized that Islam was the power that brought them that justice, that unity, that strength to fight back against that injustice. Although a lot of other religions might have existed at that time. Subhanallah. And you look at the history of the rest of the world for that. The puzzling part is not that. That is common sense. The puzzling part is, why do some people continue to side with those who oppress? That is the biggest question. We know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said and warned against dhulm in the hadith al-Qudsi, in the narrated hadith on behalf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He says, Ya ibadi, inni harramtu al-dhulma ala nafsi, wa ja'altuhu baynakum muharraman fala tadhalamu. O my servants, I have made it impossible, forbidden for me to commit oppression or injustice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. Therefore, I've made it forbidden upon you to commit or engage in it. So do not engage in injustice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it clear that's His expectation from us. رواه مسلم. وعن جابر رضي الله عنه وأرضاه أن الرسول صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم قال اتقوا الظلم فإن الظلم ظلمات يوم القيامة. والحديث رواه مسلم. The Prophet ﷺ also said, beware, talking to the Muslims specifically, to the believers. He said, beware, do not even engage in any form of dhulm, oppression, repression. Because dhulm is dhulumat, is darkness on the day of judgment. It's a form of torment. It's layers of torment that comes upon you on the day of judgment. May Allah protect us, my dear brothers and sisters. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says, وَأَعْتَدْنَا لِلظَّالِمِينَ عَذَابًا أَلِيمًا. Allah is saying, and I've prepared a special form of punishment, special form of painful punishment for those who engage in such wrongdoing, in such oppression. Also He said, وَاللَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الظَّالِمِينَ. And Allah does not like, Allah dislikes those who engage in oppression. And the Quran is filled and filled and filled. There is hardly a page from the Quran that does not talk about rejecting oppression and standing for what is just. So we know what the what is required from us as Muslims. The question is, why are there still Muslims? My talk, my question applies to every human being. When we hear about racism, injustice, oppression, there are always, an injustice would not exist had it not been for a climate that accepts it. There is no racism unless there is a climate. There's a hadina. There are those in society who make it acceptable. They accept it, they engage in it, they support it. So no oppression, no dictatorship, no racism, no Islamophobia, no bigotry would exist unless there is a group of people who embrace it, accept it. So the question is, why would anyone do that? What are the reasons that make someone be willing and accepting of oppression? And I want to focus specifically on the Muslims, because you would think Muslims should be put at a higher standard. People who know al-haq, people who know the truth, people who know Quran, people who know right from wrong. We have to put them at a higher standard and higher accountability. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in Surah Hud, وَلَا تَرْكَنُوا إِلَى الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا فَتَمَسَّكُمُ النَّارُ وَمَا لَكُم مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ مِنْ أَوْلِيَاءَ ثُمَّ لَا تُنصَرُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and do not incline, do not side, do not even have sympathy with those who commit injustice, lest you will be touched by the fire of punishment or the fire of their deed and misdeeds. And you would not have other than Allah as protectors. Don't count on anyone to protect you at that time. If you decide to side with those who commit injustice, وَلَا تَرْكَنُوا إِلَى الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا, and do not even side, do not come close to those. And then the verse continues, not only you will have no protectors from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah is adding and says, and then you will not be helped. ثُمَّ لَا تُنصَرُونَ. So what are some of the reasons that people side with oppressors? Obviously, oppressors side with oppressors. But I don't want to focus much on those people. Because most people claim they are not oppressors. Yet, somehow in our lifetime, we choose to side and defend and excuse those who commit injustice. So I'm not going to focus on those who are willingly evil or chosen to be oppressors. First type are the ignorant ones. The first reason is ignorance. You ask somebody, why are you, a fellow American you can talk to, why are we supporting Israel's behavior in Jerusalem and in Palestine? The average person in America who's not educated, uninformed, would say, well, these are terrorist Palestinians. They are Muslims. All Muslims are terrorists. So ignorance. And ignorance cure is knowledge. So when you see someone siding with the oppressors, out of ignorance, arguing with them about right and wrong is no longer valid. You have to give them the information first of all. So the way we deal with ignorance is we counter it with knowledge, information. And if someone after that information chooses to continue to side with injustice, then that's another problem. So the first reason is people are misinformed. Second reason is tribalism. Al-asabiyya. Tribalism means I side with my race, with my sect, with my country of origin, with my ethnic group. No matter what they do, they're always right. So if you ask someone, how would you accept that a Muslim country would side, or a government would side with a dictator in Syria to murder hundreds of thousands of Syrians? How would we accept that a government that claims to be an Islamic republic in Iran say, hey brother, are you anti-Iranian? Are you anti-Shia? If you criticize Saddam Hussein, somebody will say, hey, are you anti-Arab? Are you anti-Sunni? Immediately, instead of looking at the facts, we get defensive and say, hey, my people cannot do wrong. And if you criticize my people, that means you are somehow against my people. And we get blinded. Instead of looking at the facts, instead of being able to stand for what is right versus what is wrong, we start judging things by nationalism, sectarianism, tribalism, and you name it. All of these isms that exist. instead of putting them in the balance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On the scale of haqq and batil, adl and dhulm, justice and injustice, right from wrong. And this is a big problem because this is a source of division. When we make the judge between us, our allegiance to anything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then of course, I will not stand with what's right, because I'm going to always blindly stand with my quote-unquote people. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it clear for us when He says in Surah An-Nisa, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُونُوا قَوَّامِينَ بِالْقِسْطِ شُهَدَاءَ لِلَّهِ وَلَوْ عَلَى أَنفُسِكُمْ وَلَوْ عَلَى أَنفُسِكُمْ أَوْ الْوَالِدَيْنِ وَالْأَقْرَبِينَ. And the verse continues and says, فَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا الْهَوَى أَن تَعْدِلُوا. So the verse says, O you who believe, stand or be firmly standing for justice as witnesses for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if it means it's against yourself or your own people. And then the verse continues and says, do not follow your desires, your whims, your personal feelings on these matters, because that will deviate you from being just. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to stand for justice. When we see something wrong happening, wallahi, if your own brother, my own blood brother is committing it, I have to stand for what's right. What's about انصر أخاك ظالما كان أو مظلوما. As we know, narrated, that the Prophet ﷺ said, stand by your brothers, whether they are an oppressor or an oppressed. Of course, we understood and all understood what it means. You stand by them when they're oppressed. How do we support them when they're oppressors? You stop them from their oppression. You don't defend them, you stop them because they're harming themselves first of all. So that is important, my dear brothers and sisters. We have to develop an understanding that our priority is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is right from wrong, not our national origin or sect or relationships or tribes and so on. The third reason why people stand with oppressors and on the side of injustice. If I can ask everyone to come closer a little bit so we can make some room for those brothers coming in the back. Take 5 seconds, inshallah, move forward. Barakallah fikum, jazakumullah khair. May Allah make space for us, inshallah, in Jannah. So the third reason is personal gain. Subhanallah. You know people who still support injustice, and they know those are oppressors and dictators and thieves and liars or bigots, but they will stand by them. Why? Because there's some gain. Political gain, financial gain. You know, we're watching the election, the presidential election going on in our country. And we hear now, the center point now, the focal point of the election is what? Who hates the Muslims the most? Who wants to exclude the Muslims the most? Especially on the Republican side now. All the clowns, all the candidates are debating among themselves who is more anti-Muslim. You know, when Trump was asked, we have a problem with Muslims, we have a Muslim problem in our country, what can we do to get rid of them? He said, I'm going to look into it. He didn't say that we don't have a Muslim problem. He didn't say shame on you for saying that. And he knows better from someone who has a lot of business deals with UAE and other countries. He knows Muslims well enough. But because there's a gain now, because he will look and he will appear as he's defending the country from those threatening Muslims. Being sarcastic, of course. The other candidate, the other clown, a doctor, supposedly a brain surgeon with little brain, Ben Carson, when he was asked, would you support a Muslim as a president? He said, no, I would never advocate for that. A Muslim cannot. Today he's tried to fix it today. He said, when he was asked, would you allow a Muslim to the Supreme Court? He said, yeah, of course, if they reject Islam. MashaAllah, alhamdulillah, that's a progress now. It's the ridiculous aspect of this campaign today that actually, alhamdulillah, with all that said, yes, by the way, after saying this, their polls increased, their support increased among their base. Their fundraising increased among their base. But the rest of the country exposed Islamophobia to what it is. And alhamdulillah, actually most people in media and most common sense politicians, including some Republicans, actually spoke against this Islamophobia. So alhamdulillah, although this is bad and we're going to be the focus of the upcoming election, but I think it's also going to mobilize the rest of this country and hopefully give us an opportunity as Muslims, as American Muslims, to speak up on behalf of our community. This is a chance. We are given a microphone now. There's a microphone in front of each one of us. If we remain silent, we would have missed one of our biggest opportunities to prove that American Muslims are a positive contributor or contributing factor to our country. They are, subhanAllah, 10% of doctors in our country are Muslim. 10%. Basically, chances are anyone who goes to a doctor or goes to a university or deals with the IT industry or even takes a cab is dealing with a Muslim who's taking care of them. The reality is, there are those who know that, but they think they can exploit this bigotry and fear for their own gain. So there are people who actually exploit and advance and support injustice for their personal gain. That's the third type. The fourth type of people are the people who are afraid to speak up because they're afraid of retribution, punishment. If I say those who kill innocent, peaceful protesters in some country, maybe the police, the mukhabarat will come and arrest me. If I'm from a certain country and I say we should not be flooding Gaza and Gaza's border with salt water to undermine its groundwater, the water that people of Gaza drink from, in ways that even the most right-wing, vicious Zionists in Israel could not think of. So some people say, but I cannot speak up because I might get arrested in that country. I don't want to mention the country because it's very well known there was a military coup there. So we'll keep it that way. Or if you are in Syria, where you speak up against an oppressor who throws barrel bombs on the people, or throws, dumps chemical weapons on the people, they're afraid. Or you're in America, when our own country engages in policies that are unfair, whether in using drones against people in Yemen, or in Afghanistan, or in Pakistan, or even when we remain silent in face of innocent people being killed in Syria or other places. At a time when Russia now added the chorus, joined the chorus of those trying to exterminate the Syrian people. But when we remain silent because we're afraid I might lose my job, I might be on the no-fly list, maybe the FBI might come and ask me about my political views, I remind myself, my dear brothers and sisters, the one we have to worry about is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's it. As long as you're speaking truth in a wise way, nobody's asking you to go and beat up people. Speak up what is right. Advocate for justice. No one you should fear other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ said, إذا رأيتم أمتي تهاب الظالم أن تقول له أنت ظالم فقد تودع منهم. رواه البخاري ومسلم. He said, if there is a time that comes when you witness and you see that my ummah is afraid to tell an oppressor, you are an oppressor, my ummah is gone that time. There is no ummah for this time. Allah will replace us with others. This is a factor of being called part of this ummah. Being able to stand up for the oppressed, being able to stand up for those who are mistreated. This is about standing up for the truth. The Prophet ﷺ also said, أفضل الجهاد كلمة عدل عند سلطان جائر أو عند أمير جائر أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. He said the best form of jihad, the highest form of jihad is a word of truth that you speak against an oppressive ruler. An oppressive ruler. Someone who has a lot of power. Someone who has power to hurt you when you speak the truth. But the highest form of jihad is to stand up and say what you're doing is wrong. Killing innocent people is wrong. Treating people in an unjust way is wrong. Based on their race, based on economic status, based on this, on that. This is what our Islam is, my dear brothers and sisters. Our Islam is not just coming to the masjid, pray 5 times a day, and say Assalamu alaikum to each other. Alhamdulillah, that is part of our deen. But it's not exclusively that. We add to it standing up for what is right. And the fifth reason why people side with oppressors or injustice is indifference. I don't care, none of my business. Why don't we speak up about what is happening in Burma? Do you know that most Muslims in the southern part of Central African Republic were ethnically cleansed? None of my business. What can I do? I'm here in America, I'm busy with my job. I barely have time to take my kids to the baseball games. I barely have time to watch TV. Learn, care. من لم يهتم بأمر المسلمين فليس منهم. Whoever does not care about the affairs of the Muslims, he or she does not belong to them. The Prophet ﷺ said, a beautiful hadith. He said, لا يقفن أحدكم موقفا يقتل فيه رجل ظلما أو يضرب فيه رجل ظلما بالروايتين فإن اللعنة تنزل على من حضر حين لم يدفعوا عنه. The Prophet ﷺ said, do not any of you be in a position where they witness an innocent man being killed or beaten and then they don't do anything about it. Because then the curse from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would fall on all those who witnessed that injustice and didn't act about it. How many innocent people in the world today are being beaten? Wallahi, look at the map. How many? From Afghanistan to Pakistan, to Kashmir, to Burma, to Syria, to Yemen, to Iraq, to Lebanon. And look at the list. And Libya and Egypt. And how many of us are witnessing and saying, none of my business. Whereas Allah is saying it is your business, and if you make it none of your business, Allah's curse would be fallen upon you. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu wa ardah said, قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم يقول إن الناس إذا رأوا الظالم فلم يأخذوا على يديه أوشك أن يعمهم الله بعقاب منه. Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, said, I heard the Messenger sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam said, if people witness an oppressor committing oppression and they do not try to stop him, then they should expect a punishment that will befall upon them. If that happens in our time, then the punishment comes not only on the oppressors, it comes on those others, societies and communities and people who witnessed it and didn't do anything. The other reason, the sixth reason why people incline, support, or remain silent in face of injustice is what is known as the Stockholm Syndrome. It is like when you lived all your life under oppression, you don't know what it means to be free. There are people today who even there are movements for freedom in their own countries. But after 40 and 50 years being oppressed, they say, I'm afraid of the change. Well, they're better than others. How do we know the others are? This is exactly what happened to Bani Israel. When they're under Pharaoh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took them outside of Egypt, getting lost for 40 years in the desert of Sinai, right? 40 years. Why? The scholars say, so a new generation will grow up and become adults. Because the generation that lived under slavery, mental slavery, cannot imagine freedom. If you've lived with no karama, no dignity, no honor, you cannot imagine life with dignity and honor and freedom. It's difficult. And there are people today in many parts of the Muslim world where there is freedom pushing, who say, well, I'd rather live under the oppressor. At least he takes care of us. Yes, he steals 90% of the resources. Hey, but he gives us 10%. He only beats us once a week. He only insults us this and that. There is a level of inferiority that develops that is difficult to break. And for that, we need special attention to these people, to re-invite them, rebuild in them the love for freedom and dignity, so they can feel dignified. So when someone says anything bad about Islam in our country, we don't go and say, well, thank you, just to take a photo with them. When the FBI entraps our young Muslims or portray Muslims as some terrorists at a time when almost every month there is a shooting by some white supremacists killing dozens of innocent people. And for that, our prayers go to the victims and their families, like the one that happened in Oregon. And after every incident, they go back and say, but we need to have a counter-violent extremism for Muslims. Subhanallah. Why don't we have one for the white supremacist groups? Why don't we have it for the other groups? But we come to the Muslims, and there are some Muslims who come and say, well, you know, they're right, at least they're the FBI. It takes some self-dignity, my dear brothers and sisters, to challenge that. And last but not least, the reason sometimes people say, I cannot activate, I cannot speak up against injustice, I have to side with it, is because they say we don't know how to organize, how to respond to it. If I say a word, would it go anywhere? Would it make a difference? Yes, it will make a difference. We have to organize, my dear brothers and sisters. We have to organize. Muhammad and his companions, alayhi salatu wasalam, and may Allah be pleased with the companions, organized. There were a small number. They changed the whole world. They didn't just change Mecca. They didn't just change Medina. They didn't change Arabia. They changed the world we live in today because they organized. They had faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They had principles and they did not lose hope. They had patience, sabr. Things take time. You know, centuries of abuse of Muslims, making them hate themselves, hate each other, creating barriers between them, will not disappear with a lecture or a khutbah, but it will disappear when we organize. And for that, I encourage all of us to be organized, to be part of putting our hearts together, caring for one another, and finding ways, inshallah, to always be a voice of truth. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those whom He described, in tansurullah yansurkum. If you give support to Allah by supporting His religion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you victory, will give you His support. وَلَا يَنْصُرَنَّ اللَّهُ مَنْ يَنْصُرُهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allah swears, Allah gives it confirmed. Allah will support and give support to those who give support to Him by supporting the oppressors and supporting His religion. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه فيا فوز المستغفرين. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد. Very quick announcement, inshallah, for the masjid. So bear with me for a couple of minutes, inshallah, the events that might interest you. First of all, I remind myself and my dear brothers and sisters, in relation to the topic that I talked about, to organize. Alhamdulillah, we have an organization in this community called CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations. And it's on your behalf and with your support, and first and last with Allah's blessings, alhamdulillah, has been able to fight off Islamophobia, organize the community, expose the Islamophobia industry and the bigots, and speak up against injustice with no fear but from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is because it has the support of the community. With Allah's help, you have been the backbone of this organization. But once a year it holds its annual event. Once a year only. We don't do it every year, we don't do it every month, we don't do it different places. One place in Southern California. We're asking all of you to be part of supporting the organization by getting your tickets, showing up there, and generously contributing. If you want us to have more lawyers defending our rights, more activists speaking up against politicians and for good politicians, you want more people on media, the only way to get the best of these young people in our community is through your support. So I urge, inshallah, after the Sunnah prayer outside to grab the flyers and intend and plan to attend the banquet. It's going to be on November 14th. The two guest speakers we have is Dr. Sherman Jackson, a well-known Muslim scholar, alhamdulillah, and Dr. Suzanne Barakat, the sister of late Dr. Dia Barakat, and the rest of the family. All of you know from Chapel Hill, the ones who were killed, murdered, these innocent souls and lives, because of the Islamophobia that exists. And there is no doubt on my mind about that. But we want to hear from them, inshallah, and see how we as a community can stand up for what is right. So I urge, inshallah, to plan to be there, get the information, and inshallah show your support. Also, some of the announcements very quickly. There's an Islamic Studies children books that will be sold at great discounted price. For those parents, you need those books, inshallah, check them outside with Sister Reem. Also next week, on Friday, October 9th, there will be a seminar here, a program called Family Matters. The title is Parenting in Today's Society. All of you are encouraged to attend, learning about parenting tools. The information is available also. This month there is no potluck dinner, so skip this month. Also, for those who signed up for the soccer tournament on Sunday, please go to the office to make the payment. The youth group and middle school group will be meeting tonight after Maghrib. And last but not least, check TV for the classes offered at the masjid. You'll see them on the screen, inshallah. Please continue to support your masjid. That is your masjid and your activities as we support our community at large. عباد الله إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد كما صليت وسلمت وباركت على سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معصيتك ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا. اللهم متعنا بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقواتنا وذرياتنا أبدا ما أحييتنا، واجعله الوارث منا، واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا. اللهم اجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا، اللهم واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا. اللهم لا تسلط علينا بذنوبنا من لا يخافك فينا ولا يرحمنا. اللهم نسألك بفضل هذا اليوم الكريم المبارك يوم الجمعة أن تنصر إخواننا المستضعفين في كل مكان. اللهم نسألك أن تنصر إخواننا في الشام، اللهم انصر إخواننا في بيت المقدس، اللهم انصر إخواننا في سوريا، اللهم انصرهم على من عاداهم. اللهم من أراد بهم شرا فخذه أخذ عزيز مقتدر. اللهم نسألك أن تدمر جيوش روسيا، اللهم نسألك أن تدمر جيوش روسيا، اللهم دمر طائراتهم يا الله. اللهم من أراد سوءا بإخواننا في الشام فعليك به، اللهم عليك بطغاة ملال إيران، اللهم عليك بهم، اللهم عليك بهم. اللهم انصر إخواننا في مصر وفي ليبيا وفي بورما وفي كشمير وفي أفغانستان وفي بنغلاديش وفي الهند وفي كل مكان يظلم فيه المسلمون. اللهم كن معهم ولا تكن عليهم. اللهم وحد صفوفهم وألف بين قلوبهم وانصرهم على من عاداهم. اللهم وانصرهم على من عاداهم. اللهم اعف عنا لتقصيرنا نحوهم. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يعينون إخواننا في تلك المناطق يا الله. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأقم الصلاة.